My name is Ethan, and this is my family of 6. We recently sold our family farmstead in Minnesota and are on the road looking for a new property to build a new future, debt-free, off-grid, and close to the land. In our last episode, we were looking at properties in the Ozarks of Missouri and Arkansas. In this episode, I'm going to tell you the 5 easy steps we followed to pick our homestead. Raw land is nearly always cheaper than the same property with a house on it. Step 1 is to make a decision if you're willing to buy land without a house or not. Step 2, find an area you like with land for sale that you can afford to buy. Step 3, go look at properties and get a feel for the area. Step 4, when you find a place that feels right, pull the trigger and make an offer. Step 5, have fun. There's no point in doing this if you can't enjoy yourself along the way. These steps may be mostly valid, but as Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. As you may be able to tell, there have been a lot of ups and downs on our journey to find a new place to call home. We've shared some of them with you, but most of them we have not. From the time we decided to list our property in Minnesota until now, we've felt like the lure at the end of a fly rod more than once. We've given up many times. Quite frankly, this almost didn't happen. But we'll talk more about that later. In the last episode, I told you that one of the properties in that video is our future home. I also mentioned that after all of the searching, only a handful of properties fit what we were looking for. Before I tell you about those properties, I think it's important to mention that we are weird. Odd? Eccentric. That's it, we're eccentric, and though it's probably logical to talk about the properties on our list of contenders by their locality, the Mountain Grove property, the Licking property, the first thing we did was give them nicknames. So here is a list of the properties that had us dreaming. First, we had the Woodlands property. This property was in Mountain Grove, Missouri. It had over 250 acres of land with 1,700 feet of river frontage. It was also completely forested. We knew there was a river on the property, but we had no idea what it was like because it was over 2,000 feet through dense forest to see it. Second was the view. It was in Black, Missouri. It was also over 250 acres with a good 1,000 feet in river frontage. There was also a little house that had recently been remodeled, which was a bonus. The best part was the epic sweeping views of the valley from the house. It was awe-inspiring. You could do worse than waking up and sipping coffee with that view out your window every morning. Third was Johnny Cash. Why Johnny Cash? Well, there's a prison just a few miles away outside of Licking, Missouri, so prison, Folsom, Johnny Cash. Just go with it. Johnny Cash had over 250 acres and a beautiful river flowing right through the center of the property. The land with its rolling pastures was absolutely beautiful. Although it had a house, it needed a complete gut and remodel. Finally, there was Captain Fantastic in Yellville, Arkansas. This property didn't explicitly fill all our requirements as the river had very little flow, but there was something about it that really spoke to our sense of adventure. It was over 300 acres and was just 10 minutes up a mountain from Yellville, which is one of the cutest towns we've seen in the Ozarks. The most turnkey of the properties were the View and Johnny Cash. They were the obvious choices. They had electricity on the property, barns, pasture, water, all of the stuff we'd need to create if we didn't buy a property with them already there. We felt really great about both of those properties while we were on the properties. That's the issue though. The second we started driving around the immediate area, we just felt nothing. It felt flat. Could we really imagine living on those properties? Yes, but could we imagine living in the area? Unfortunately, the answer was no. We needed to find a property where the area, not just the property, made us excited about being there. So without much hesitation, we eliminated Johnny Cash and the View and focused on the Woodlands and Captain Fantastic. Captain Fantastic felt right. It felt right in a way that left us dreaming about a life that could be. So with a decision that was nearly 100% gut instinct, we decided to make an offer on Captain Fantastic and then went to sleep. The next morning we woke up and I started thinking. About the fact that Captain Fantastic was nearly $100,000 more than the Woodlands. I also started thinking about the fact that we hadn't really given Woodlands a fair shake. I mean, we hadn't even looked at the property, not really anyway. It was so dense that we didn't even leave the edge of the road, and neither did the listing agent when he took the photos. How much of the property did we even see? So it was with this in mind that we asked our realtor to set up a time for us to hike the property. This is Lucas, by the way. He's been a great realtor, and if you're looking for land in the Ozarks, give him a call. His contact information is in the description. We set out on a beautiful day with the goal of making it all the way down to the river. The forest was intermixed with pine trees and hardwoods. The kids were enjoying themselves as we weaved our way through the towering old-growth forest and prickly green briar patches. I could see it on the kids' faces. This was an adventure. The terrain was like a set of tables at different altitudes as we worked our way down the 250-foot elevation drop to the river below. There was plenty of flat land for pasture. There were plenty of hills with southern exposure, perfect for the vineyard we've always wanted. In my mind, as we navigated our way through the forest, I could see the system of reservoirs that could be created here. Dozens of them could be terraced in the ravines. It could be a paradise. The entire hike was one of anticipation. What was the river like? Could we imagine ourselves living here? After a couple hours of hiking, we finally made it down to the river. It was absolutely gorgeous. We sat on the edge of the water right next to the small rapids and unpacked our lunch as we listened to the water roll a couple feet down over the rocks to the river below. As I was sitting there contemplating the possibility of a future microhydro installation, I looked over at the kids and I realized that they were completely in the moment. Hard work had paid off. Their excitement was palpable. The kids wanted to go in the river and I wasn't going to stop them. As I sat back watching them go on their own barefoot adventure up the river, everything seemed right in the world. And I knew it. This was our property. This is where we would build our future home. I got back to the RV and told Sarah, "The Woodlands is it. I can see it." Sarah, my beautiful wife who I love so much, bless her, over the years she's learned to just go with it. My crazy ideas, which I've had more than a few, always seem to pan out. Even the failures move us forward to some place we weren't before and give us great stories to tell and things to reminisce about. Maybe this entire thing was just one big crazy idea. The only thing I know for sure is that I couldn't keep doing what we had been doing anymore. Since I quit my dream job, leading a team of software engineers at a successful startup, I've been on a mission to fully align my daily actions with my values. Making this move is one giant step toward that alignment. So the next morning I called Lucas and we made an offer at list price with a large earnest money down payment. The only catch was that we needed 4 months to close, hence the large, non-refundable earnest money payment. Would they accept our offer? We didn't have the money yet to actually buy this property. We only had less than half of it from the first of our properties selling. If we couldn't sell our other property within 4 months, we would lose this deal and the money we put down on the property. Needless to say, it was all a big gamble. But it would seem that it was meant to be, because within 24 hours they had said yes, and we had ourselves a deal, if we could hold up our end of it. We had been at the KOA in Branson for a few weeks when we made the decision to make an offer on the Woodlands. The KOA was nice. It had a playground for the kids and it was right in the middle of town, so all of the conveniences were close by. But it was expensive, too expensive to stay there for 4 months. It's an odd thing how when living in an RV, every new place quickly becomes home. A few weeks can seem like an eternity, and leaving feels like you're stepping out into the unknown once again. But it was time to leave. We found a small RV park in Mountain Home, Arkansas that was $1,500 a month less than the KOA. It wasn't the greatest place to be for a family, but it was affordable, the internet was good, and we were right in town. And this is where things got interesting, boring maybe, or trying, or stressful. I guess it was all of those things depending on the week. There's something that has been happening since we decided to leave Minnesota. We decide what we want to do. We take action and do everything in our power to make that thing happen. Then everything falls into pieces. We fight for what we want. Then things fall apart more. Then we fight desperately, like a drowning man trying to get to the surface to take a breath before everything turns to darkness. Then, when all of our effort appears to be for naught, when there is no way anything is going to work out, when the lights start to dim, we let go. We accept our fate. We accept that we will not get what we want. We give it up to God, and we start making plans for some kind of contingency that will make the best out of the situation, and then all of the doors open, and we walk through. It's as if this entire experience has been one giant lesson in submission, a lesson in letting go of what we want and focusing on what God wants. It happened with the first property we sold in Minnesota, and boy, did it happen with the second property we needed to sell. We had offers that fell through. We dropped prices. We had other offers for half of what we were asking. The entire thing at some point began to feel futile. All of this happening while we were living in a 26-foot RV in an RV park with lots barely large enough to fit the RV. No playground for the kids. And did I mention that I was still working full-time? Days turned into weeks, and weeks quickly turned into months, waiting for something to happen. It was the end of November, and we were at our friends Jess and Jeremiah's house in Arkansas for a visit. We had finally gotten to the point of just letting go. Maybe we could take the money we had made and find a small property in North Carolina. It's expensive there, but there's got to be something, right? Panama could be cool. Chile. I've always thought about moving to Chile. That's what we're going to do. If this doesn't work out, we're moving to Chile. We're going to buy a small farm out in the country and do what we can do. It was around 7 p.m. when I finally just told Sarah that I had given up. Whatever God wanted us to do, that's what we'd do. About 5 minutes later, like clockwork, I got a text message from our realtor back in Minnesota. We had an offer. It was below our asking price, but we had an offer. Sarah said she thought we should hold firm. Somewhat reluctantly, I agreed, and I told our realtor, no, we aren't budging. I didn't really care anymore. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. 10 minutes later, we had a signed cash offer at list price that closed in 30 days. I remember the smile on Jess's face. Joy. Pure joy and excitement. It's a blessing to have friends that are happy when you win. And so here we are. This is the closing. This is the day we've been waiting for. We're signing the paperwork and transferring funds to purchase over 250 acres outside of Mountain Grove in the beautiful Ozarks of Missouri. All of the struggle and effort to get here. And just like that, it's over. Everything worked out exactly how it was supposed to. When we left Minnesota, I told you that our story was just beginning. And thus begins chapter 1.